Sometimes I really wish I could visit India, to walk through the Shah Hamdan shrine in Srinagar, to sit in the courtyard of Ajmer Sharif, to see Bombay's chaos, Bollywood, Madras's history, have some genuine Hyderabadi biryani, Bangalore's tech industry, Goa's beaches, so many people to meet, so many stories to discover, but of course I can't. Borders, politics, history, you know it all. And yet, I realize there is one thing that I can do. I can say thank you. Because when you look at history closely, there is so much to thank India for. So today, as a Pakistani, I'm just gonna take a moment and say thank you, India. Where we discuss defense, geopolitics, and all the things your textbook did not tell you, but in a way that will not put you to sleep. I'm Qasim, and today we're diving into a story that is both bitter, sweet, and ridiculously funny at times. And no, this is not a travel vlog or a yoga retreat. This is a heartfelt thank you to our noisy neighbor India for making Pakistan, Pakistan. Because if it wasn't for you, India, maybe we would just be another boring subcontinental country with food, music, and cricket. Instead, we got nukes, jets, CPEC, and so many memes. So let's begin this gratitude journal. Let's start at the beginning. 1947, partition, borders drawn, family torn apart, and a brand new Pakistan was born. And while we were trying to figure out our governance, India made its own internal choices. It is true that the leadership of both countries didn't really realize the kind of challenges that the both young nations would face. But thanks to India, we were soon to realize that it won't be easy. And we learned the most important lesson as a people: resilience. 1965, the second time Pakistan and India locked horns. India led the way with aggression, and Pakistan responded. Yet early lessons in military readiness were being learned in real time. India kept initiating, Pakistan kept responding and learning. The world saw Pakistan keeping an enemy 5 times bigger than itself far at bay. In 1971, India did its utmost to separate from Pakistan, and then it helped Bangladesh create itself into a textile manufacturing powerhouse, a microeconomic miracle. You know what manufacturing is, right? It's when you create something of your own, but Indians wouldn't know much about it, anyways. And then handed Bangladesh right back into Pakistan arms minus one Hasina Wajid. It's like taking a newborn baby, feeding it, taking it past the diaper wiping and the crying stage, and giving it back all nice and grown. What neighbor would do more? 1984, Operation Blue Star. The Indian Army stormed the Golden Temple, a wound that still bleeds in Sikh memory. You lost trust with your own Sikh community, and soon after lost Prime Minister Indira Gandhi at the hands of her Sikh bodyguards, followed by a bloody purge of the Sikhs. You realize that this brought the Sikh community and Pakistanis closer than ever, a connection that has strengthened over time. For Pakistan, this was another reminder how unity matters. Ignore a community and you risk losing an entire nation. So thank you, India, for that brutal lesson in diversity management, one that we sometimes follow and sometimes forget. FYI, for my Indian viewers, manufacturing does not mean importing parts from China and selling it back to the US. It's actually creating something of your own. But you wouldn't know much about it. The Sikh movement, India again proving that internal policies can create chaos. And Rajiv Gandhi's death later reminded us how fragile political leadership can be. Thank you, India, really. Because without that little mushroom cloud, Chagri Hills in Balochistan might just be hills. Ordinary, scenic, perfectly unremarkable hills. Instead, they became the stage for Pakistan's boldest statement of defiance. You see, India's peaceful nuclear explosion inadvertently lit a fire under us. It said, "We are ahead, you're next." And Pakistan answered, not with protests or editorials, but with determination, scientists, and yes, some good old-fashioned stubbornness. We would eat grass but not let India take a bullying edge in the region. By 1998, when Chagi rolled out its own fireworks, the balance had shifted, and suddenly the global chessboard had a whole new configuration. Buddha was not smiling anymore. Smiling Buddha didn't just awaken Pakistan's nuclear program, it awakened a narrative that a nation underestimated at its neighbor's leisure could, in fact, punch back harder and smarter. And let's be honest, the headlines were priceless. Pakistan has never been the aggressor or the initiator of an arms race. We even proposed a no-missile treaty. But you were so hell-bent on developing nuclear debris platforms, Pakistan was like, oh macha, and on to the missile race. And let's call it what it really was, decades long ago. Adrenaline pumping, India versus Pakistan track and field, but with nukes and really high-range toys. 1980s, India launches the IGMDP, short-range Prithvi missile, a medium-range Agni missile. A promising start. Pakistan sees the smoke, revs up the engines, and responds with the Hataf program, and the race is on. 1998, Operation Shakti. India drops the nuclear baton. Pakistan immediately follows with its own tests, keeping pace, if not ahead. 2000s, India's ballistic missile defense, BMD. Pakistan develops countermeasures and a little ababil with MIRVs, showing off a perfect blend of strategy and tech. Cruise missiles? India has BrahMos, Pakistan responds with Babar and Raad. 2010s and 2020s, Agni 5s versus Shaheen 3s. Advanced tech, hypersonic possibilities. Pakistan consistently turns India's intentions into results. A full throttle, action-packed, nuclear speed relay race. And the crowd goes wild. Every advancement in missile tech or military tech has been followed by India's aggression. But Pakistan has had to develop its entire industry, its military development complex to challenge that. And quite successfully so. 2019, India's masterstroke. India revokes Article 370, hurting millions of Kashmiri sentiments, stripping Kashmir's autonomy. Pakistan responds, not just diplomatically, but with deepening Sino-Pakistan alliance becoming even more stronger than before. CPEC becomes a crown jewel. A $62 billion lifetime of ports, roads, and energy infrastructure. Civil-military coordination in Pakistan shines, proving strategic foresight. Thank you, India. Thank you so much for pushing us ever so closer with your northern, not-so-friendly neighbor. Historically, every time the Indian Air Force proudly rolls out a new shiny platform, when I say roll out, of course I mean purchased and acquired, the Pakistanis have responded with slightly better tech, with a slight edge. Whether it's the F-86 Sabre, the F-104 Starfighter, all the way to the F-16. Pakistan has always maintained that edge. Even to the latest J-10Cs from China, Pakistan somehow always manages to stay ahead, at least one step. It's like clockwork. India unveils, Pakistan evaluates, Pakistan adapts. Suddenly, what was supposed to be a game changer for India becomes just another challenge for Pakistan. Whether through superior tactics, clever integration, or our own homegrown systems, we've consistently managed to turn India's cutting-edge excitement into a masterclass in patience and pragmatism. Take the Rafale, for example. India's pride and joy. Our pilots trained against it during joint exercises with China, learned its quirks in BVR combat, beyond visual range combat, and used that knowledge to sharpen our own operational edge. Meanwhile, India's social media was abuzz with memes, hashtags, and occasional existential angst. Time and again, the pattern has been clear. India introduces, Pakistan responds, and in the end, tech superiority is not just about hardware. It's about ingenuity, planning, and frankly, a little bit of neighborly inspiration. And of course, thank you, India, for the GF-17 Thunder. Wait, what? Yes. Because if you hadn't gone all in on the Tejas LCA, Pakistan wouldn't have had the chance to build something actually on time. You have to look at it in a slightly broader perspective. While the first Tejas prototype was still rolling out of the drawing boards, the GF-17 Thunder was already out there scoring 8 air kills and proving its mettle in actual combat scenarios. Pakistan and China were running joint operational exercises, flying the J-10C along the Thunder, learning long-range BVR tactics, and practicing integrated air defense drills. Every time a Rafale came close, it got a friendly reminder. And even when losses occurred, India chose silence over acknowledgement, leaving the world to watch Pakistan's narrative shine. In other words, while one side was still printing blueprints and waiting for HAL approvals, the other was flying, fighting, and refining tactics in real time. And yes, the social media chatter was just priceless. And of course, thank you, India, for May 2025. That unforgettable month after Operation Sindoor, when Pakistan, for once in the history, walked into the global ballroom like the belle of the geopolitical ball. The only time in this age, Pakistan emerged as the nation which was on excellent diplomatic terms with all the great powers of the world. The US, Russians, and the Chinese at the same time, all paying attention, nodding politely, maybe even taking notes. Because suddenly, Pakistan was the country everyone wanted to talk to, consult with, and maybe even invite to the VIP table. Sometimes for lunch, maybe. And thank you, India, for your stellar restraint. While our pilots were showing the world their prowess, India chose silence. Not a word about the air losses that the PF confidently demonstrated to the whole world. No counterclaims, no denials. Just a quiet, subtle submission that yes, sometimes your neighbor's narrative gets stronger when you refuse to engage. Bravo! Your silence made our story that much more compelling. Thank you so much. And how can I forget? Thank you for pushing Pakistan into arms of friends who actually appreciate us. Take the Saudi-Pak Defense Pact, for example. What started as a regional security arrangement quickly became a showcase of strategic depth, military cooperation, and a little bit of look who's the heavyweight now diplomacy. Through joint exercises, intelligence sharing, and coordinated planning, Pakistan's military muscle gained an extended shadow, reaching further than ever before. Suddenly, our influence wasn't just confined to our borders. It stretched to the entire Arabian Peninsula, sending subtle, polite reminders that Pakistan isn't just a neighbor, we're a partner in regional stability. And thank you, India. Thank you for staying on the sidelines. Because every time your policies push us away, we get to flex in new directions. And the world notices. Bravo, India, making Pakistan look good, one diplomatic nudge at a time. And of course, thank you, India, for becoming so chummy with the United States and so adamantly making the same mistakes and never learning from Pakistan. For figuring it out the hard way, that being the enemy to the US is bad, but being a friend is most definitely lethal. Firstly came the 50% tariffs. Ouch. Suddenly, all that talk about Make in India sounded more like pay in dollars. Then came the H-1B visa restrictions. Ouch. Double ouch. India's tech dream suddenly had to sit in traffic, waiting for the paperwork to clear. And when Trump came along, well, triple ouch. No diplomatic lift, no special treatment, just more lessons in global real politics. Meanwhile, Pakistan quietly played the balancing act, keeping ties with the China, US, and even Russia all in check. All the while looking like the savvy kid who read the manual before entering the playground. And yes, India's aggressive courting of the US indirectly reminded the world that friendship with a superpower comes with both perks and some really painful bills. And how can I forget? Modi ji, happy birthday and thank you so much for taking India's divisions to an art form more effectively than Pakistan ever could. Under twin banners of Hindutva and the RSS ideology, you've managed to pit communities against each other, rewrite history, mix the defense policy with WhatsApp University, and a similar syllabus for both of them. Sell a delusion of India is just the greatest, the best, number one to all you people. But delusion can only last so long. You can fool some people some of the time, some people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And yet, here we are, watching it unfold like a slow motion action comedy, starring Akshay Kumar and Govinda. Gujarat 2002, the violence that shook the conscience of the nation, and yet the narrative somehow got rewritten into selective memory. Fast forward to the 2014 elections, and we see the rise of a leader promising Achhe Din, but the promise of good days quickly collided with reality. Kala Dhan wapas aayega? More like Kala Dhanda in some cases. Demonetization? A masterclass in economic chaos. Queues, cash shortages, and a nation running around like a headless chicken. A real-life video game of survival. And then came the Balakot strikes, followed by the wondrous and sometimes shocking Abhirandan incident. Moments that were supposed to showcase military prowess, yet only highlighted the limits of operational planning, the unpredictability of outcomes, and the social media memes that followed. Ambani scandals, corporate favoritism, and the deep ties to the RSS under Hindutva ideology only amplified the divide, making politics more about symbolism and spectacle than governance. Divisive rhetoric, targeted policies, and a media machine amplifying the narrative while silencing dissent, including attempts to shut up Mr. Rahul Gandhi when he exposed election rigging, created an environment where India became a living case study in self-inflicted disaster. From one calamity to the next, each headline, each scandal, each policy move stacking on top of the last. India continues to shoot itself in the foot, repeatedly, spectacularly, often with a smile. What neighbor would do more? It's like watching a slow motion political thriller where the plot twists are all written by the protagonists themselves. And how could we possibly forget the ever lovely Godi media? Truly a gift that keeps on giving. For decades, tirelessly producing enough material for us to analyze, roast, and just marvel at. So thank you, Godi media. Propagandists, warmongers, cheerleaders, chest thumpers, for chaos. Your relentless coverage has done what few could. Divide India more thoroughly than Pakistan ever could have imagined. All while creating a spectacularly entertaining case study in self-sabotage. You've turned political missteps into national spectacles and made your own forces look like characters in a tragic comedy. From Major Gaurav Arya, someone who the army did not consider to promote as a colonel, you listen to him so intently and listen and hang on to his every word. To General G.D. Bakshi, preaching strategic brilliance when the rest of the world raised an eyebrow. How you shame the Indian forces is beyond me, being a part of the Indian forces. Arnab Goswami shouting at invisible enemies with an unmatched gusto. To Anjana Om Kashyap, rewriting history on live television. Rubika Liaquat, adding the perfect layer of dramatic outrage. The roster is endless. Each broadcast a masterclass in turning reality into theater, chaos into narrative, and journalism into just meme material. You've divided, you've polarized, you've shouted, you've pounded the war drums, you've spun myths into news cycles, and in the process you've given Pakistan a masterclass in how to turn global media into an asset. Thank you, Godi Media, for proving that sometimes the greatest ally to your neighbor's narrative is your own extremely over-the-top Star Plus coverage. So from 1947 to today, if animosity has accidentally helped Pakistan grow, imagine how much India and Pakistan could achieve together by coming to the table, hashing out the differences, and actually cooperating. Economic growth, security, regional prosperity, all possible. If history didn't keep repeating itself, I feel it's worth a thought. And that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Conflict of Interest on Pakistan Connect. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, defense, and geopolitics with a satirical twist, like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments below. Tell us which historical thanks surprised you the most. Stay tuned for the next week's show. More insights, more laughs, and more surprises. Until then, keep questioning, keep laughing, and keep connecting.